Okay, great. All right, so again, I'm Nikisha Boyer, joined with my colleagues, Dr. Elaine Reese and Leon Hill. So our agenda today will cover the following: how to access application materials via the ATD's website, specifics around eligibility criteria and the review process, introduction of new metrics for the Leader College of Distinction certification, along with our material required for the application. In addition, we will provide you details regarding data specifications, analyzing data, defining the cohort, and defining metrics, and we will walk you through the ATD data template. In closing, you will be given information on how to submit your completed application. Time will be allotted to answer any questions you may have following the presentation. Let's get started. Congratulations on being among an elite group of leader colleges invited to apply for ATD's network's highest designation, the Learmeyer-Austin Award. And your leader college status is also up for recertification at the same time. As you may know, last year we did not recertify leader colleges because we wanted to take the time to improve our processes and metrics for the leader college designation to ensure that it aligns with our new strategy and clear metrics around student success are defined. Given this and your invitation to apply for the Learmeyer-Austin Award, your current leader college status will automatically recertify through the year 2021. Because of your achievements, we would like to extend the opportunity for your college to apply for a new category of recognition, Leader College of Distinction. Reflecting on the maturing of the ATD network and the community college reform movement, we also decided to raise the bar for attaining and retaining leader college status, and to align student outcome metrics with the voluntary framework of accountability and pathways metrics. Several colleges in the ATD network have successfully participated in the recertification process multiple times, and we believe that those colleges should continue to strive for higher goals. To encourage continuous improvement and recognizing network colleges that have sustained and improved their reform work, Achieving the Dream has created the Leader College of Distinction. Leader colleges that meet new, higher student outcome criteria will be given the title of Leader College of Distinction. These more rigorous requirements are meant to motivate sustained and aggressive reform efforts that result in far greater student success and equity. Again, only colleges that have been leader colleges for 3 or more years may apply for this status. The Leader College of Distinction material and instructions are stored on the ATD website at achievingthedream.org. Once you access our website, you will then click on the Resources tab marked with the number 2 as indicated on the slide. The third indicator is the Knowledge Center page, which stores the link that gets you one step closer to accessing the 2018 New Leader College of Distinction application. Once you click on the link towards the bottom of the page under Resource Files, you will find the link to the application that includes instructions and other pertinent information. The document starts out with the introduction and followed by this year's eligibility requirements. Colleges that apply for the Leader College of Distinction certification must meet the following criteria. In addition to being in good standing with the accrediting agency, not on a warning or probation, and actively participating in the ATD network, at least participating at the annual network benefit level of $8,000. Colleges must have been a Leader College for 3 or more years to apply for Leader College of Distinction status. Applications for Leader College designation will be reviewed through a selection process that includes consultation and feedback by ATD staff and coaches. ATD will use a rubric to evaluate the quality of college responses to the following comprehensive information. 1, evidence of growth or an upward trend for the metrics selected over the last 4 years. 2, both qualitative and quantitative evidence to support the improvement in student outcomes. And 3, we're looking for a clear link between the impact of the specific actions that your college has taken and the improvement in student outcomes. Successful applications incorporate evidence of each of these items, together with a description of how the strategies that were implemented intentionally address barriers to the student success and equity gaps between student populations. ATD recognizes that unexpected events such as legislative actions, significant weather events, and/or budget cuts may require significant adjustments to reform plans. If these conditions apply, colleges are encouraged to explain how they adjusted and maintained focus on improving student outcomes. The worksheet on pages 3 to 5 of the document may be used to help colleges collaborate responses to the quantitative data analysis and qualitative narratives before uploading. The Leader College of Distinction application consists of 3 parts. Section 1 is the quantitative that requires a data template with the written analysis. Section 2 is the qualitative written narrative. And Section 3, a letter from the college president or chancellor. Leader colleges that apply for Leader College of Distinction status must meet the more rigorous recertification metrics. They must report 4 years of data and show a 3-year upward trend on the 3 metrics selected. At a minimum, college must select 2 metrics from Group A and 1 metric from Group B. Shortly, Elaine will provide a listing of these groups and definitions for the required metrics. In addition, colleges must demonstrate through disaggregation the narrowing of equity gaps on at least 2 student characteristics. Institutions must describe the improvement in the metrics selected. The narrative should include a description of the equity gap the college narrowed and the student population affected. Colleges should describe the nature, scale, and timing of the large-scale student success reforms and best practices they have implemented to improve outcomes. Successful colleges seeking Leader College of Distinction status must demonstrate how they will continue to exemplify the Leader College designation. In addition to the data metrics, colleges must provide a narrative on the progression and growth outcomes tied to their comprehensive student success agenda since becoming a Leader College. Institutions must tell a cohesive, engaging story of what new, ongoing, or improved goals and strategies were used to drive student success. For the third section of submission, colleges must upload a letter from the president or chancellor that further explains why the institution should be elevated to Leader College of Distinction status. The letter should include how the college has contributed to the National ATD Learning Network, such as hosted other colleges for learning days, presented on the college's ATD work at national conferences, or contributed to the ATD publications, etc. And they must describe ways the college will continue to contribute to the network as the Leader College of Distinction. Now, I will turn the next segment of the presentation over to Dr. Elaine Reese, Director of Research, to provide information on data specification and analysis and defining the cohort and metrics for this year's Leader College of Distinction application.
Thanks, Nikisha. So to be eligible for Leader College of Distinction, we're asking you for 4 years worth of data So it's essentially a 3-year trend. You have an initial year and then 3 follow-up years on 3 selected metrics that can show an overall upward trend in progress over that span of time. So the beginning of that time period to the end of that time period. And for Leader College of Distinction, we're asking that for those 3 metrics, you select 2 metrics from what we're calling Group A and 1 metric from Group B. Group A you can describe as the sorts of metrics describe what happens to your students while they're still at your institution. Group B is more outcome metrics that reflect completion. So Group A, so we're asking you to pick 2 of 3. Completion of Gateway Math and/or English within 1 year of initial enrollment. So within that, you can choose Math only, English only, or Math and English combined. Persistence from year 1 to year 2, also known as fall-to-fall persistence. Courses completed or attempted with a C- or higher grade within 1 year of initial enrollment. So that's from Group A, pick 2. Group B, you would pick one of these 2 options. One is completion of a certificate or degree within 4 years of initial enrollment, or transfer metric and earn baccalaureate, BA or BS, within 6 years of initial enrollment. In addition to these school-wide trends, each metric must be disaggregated by at least 2 student characteristics. So what we would like to see is upward growth for at least 2 characteristics for subgroups. You would include, you would have the following options: ethnicity, gender, income status, which is defined as Pell recipients, veteran status, first-generation college student, or as I call it, a dichotomous characteristic of your choice that's not listed here. Some institutions have come to us and said, well, we have a special population that's not in your listings, and we think that it really reflects the values of our institution. Can we use it? And I say, as long as it's dichotomous or can be made dichotomous, either your student is of that characteristic or not of that characteristic. I will caution that each of your selected subgroups should reflect a reasonable percentage of your student body. So for example, if you have 5,000 students at your institution, while we care deeply about the outcomes of all of your students, if you have a subgroup that only has an N size of 10, that's not particularly representative of your student population, and we caution you against using something that small. I will also mention that for ethnicity, it doesn't necessarily have to be the 3 largest race ethnicity groups, but again, we caution you against using a population that is so small percentage-wise of your greater population that it's not necessarily indicative of large-scale efforts at your institution. To help put all your data together, we've provided you with a data template to help organize. More on this shortly, but the overall view is you have green boxes where you put in your numbers. All of the percentages get calculated for you, and for each tab has a specific metric. There's a set of definitions on the side, so you don't have to flip back and forth between your data collection sheet and any of our definition materials. Before you select your metrics, you will need to choose how you would like to define your cohorts. You have 2 options. One is new to institution, which reflects all students who entered specifically your institution for the first time in a given fall term, regardless of what happened elsewhere. So you might have a student, let's say you're looking at the fall 2016 cohort, student might have entered another institution in fall 2014, earned a few credits, and came to you in 2016. That student would count as new to your institution when they reached you for the first time in 2016. This option does include students who have transferring credits, like in the case that I just described, or and also formerly dually enrolled high school students. So we describe this as the most inclusive option because it's essentially anybody who walked into your door for the first time as a college student or as a post-secondary student would be in this group. First time ever in college reflects only students who are new to college at all. So it's all students who are both new to your institution and they have no prior credits. So it excludes transfer-in students and those students who come in with dual enrollment credit. we consider this the most level playing field option because if you're looking, say, at what percentage of my students completed gateway courses within a year, you were looking strictly at students who all started with 0 credits. Whereas the other option, you might have students coming in with 20, 30 credits, but they're new to you, so therefore it's not necessarily looking at apples to apples. Every institution has a different culture and a different case of what makes the most sense for you, so that's why we give you the option. The only thing that we ask is that for each of the metrics that you select, you are using the same cohort, which is why on your data sheet, we ask you to select it on the front tab, and then that selection will carry through to all the other tabs and remind you of what you selected, so therefore you are reflecting your metrics consistently. Now I'm going to get into a little more detail about those specific metrics. So first, the Group A metrics. Completed Gateway English and or Math in year 1. So here we have the number and percentage of students who successfully completed with a C- or higher a Gateway course within 1 year of initial enrollment. You have an option to report for only Math Gateway courses, only English Gateway courses, or the completion of both for those students who take both. Now, if you report Math only, it may mean that the student might have been in English, but you are completely ignoring the English outcomes. You're just looking at Math. You can fill in for all or for just one. It's up to you. Even if you fill out all 3 of them for whatever reason, it is still counted as you completed 1 metric. The cohort years that we've selected are fall 2014 through fall 2017 as the initial starting cohort. Our goal with the cohort selection is to make sure that we get as recent as possible, but still being understanding of the fact that some outcomes may not have finished out, or they're done, but you might still be crunching numbers because it goes into this fall term. For completing Gateway courses, that should have been finished by the end of summer term. So that's why we're asking for the cohorts of fall 2014 through 2017. 2017-18 has been done for a few months at this point, and you should be able to reflect as such. Measure 2, another Group A option, is the persistence of students in your cohort from year 1 to year 2. This is a fairly straightforward measure that's essentially saying what students did you have in year 1, and then looking in the following fall term, how many of those students came back and re-enrolled. Graduation does count as persistence. This would be more applicable if your cohort was all students, not just first time ever in college, because you might have a student who came in with a bunch of credits and they finished out in a year. We don't want you to lose credit for that student for doing a great job and graduating. So that still counts as persisting. Note on this metric, the cohort years roll back a year. We're looking fall 2013 through 2016 because in order to, if we ask you for fall 2017, you would need to be pulling metrics of enrollment from fall 2018, which is happening right now. And we don't want you to have to scramble in case you haven't necessarily finalized those figures. So fall 2016 is the newest cohort for this metric. Third metric, the last metric of Group A, is college credits earned versus attempted with a grade of C- or higher, or passing, within 1 year of initial enrollment. So in this case, the numerator and denominator are actually measured in number of credits, not number of students. The students that are earning these credits are the same as on your other metrics, but the figures that you are entering are in credits, not in student count. So we're looking at how many credits were attempted by these students and how many credits were completed would be the numerator in this case. This cohort selection is fall 2014 through 2017 because again, this metric is something that lives entirely within 1 school year that has been done for a couple of months at this point. Measure 4 moves us into the Group B metrics. So 4-year certificate or degree completion. Again, this is a fairly straightforward metric of how many of your students earned a certificate or degree within 4 years of your initial enrollment at your institution. You'll notice these cohort years seem older because they have to be fall 2010 to fall 2013. This is the starting year of those cohorts. So for students who started in fall 2013, 14, 15, 16, it's looking at the spring of who graduated by spring or summer of 2017. We didn't want to push it into 18 in case you were still crunching final numbers. But again, these cohorts represent the year that they started, not the year that they ended. And finally, the fifth measure, the other option for Group B, is transfer metric and earn baccalaureate, so earning a BA or BS within 6 years of initial enrollment. The calculation itself is similar to a measure 4, except it's looking at baccalaureates and 6 years. The only note of caution I have is that your denominator, you're given a choice. And there's two schools of thought, different accrediting bodies, different metrics dictate what does it really mean for this metric. So we're giving you an option. It can either be your entire cohort, so the same as what's used in other metrics, or only the students in your cohort who transferred. Now, if you go with the first option, you will have a lower percentage because some of your students never transferred and therefore they wouldn't even possibly be credited in your numerator. They never transferred, they're not earning a baccalaureate degree. The only idea to keep in mind is that we're looking at longitudinal growth. So just because the number's low, you might have still increased on the number, and that's good. Your other option is to pull in your denominator only those students who transferred at any point within 6 years of starting at your institution. Your percentages will be higher. It's a matter of, I can't necessarily dictate what is best for your institution, but we're giving the option because it has been defined differently by respected entities, and we didn't necessarily want to make a call to say this is the way you should do it. Again, if you're choosing to use this metric, the drop-down is on the front page to say this is the cohort that I'm going to use. And you'll notice, again, the cohort years get even older because we need to allow for students actually getting through 6 years, which is why the newest cohort is fall 2011. And 6 years out would then reflect the end of the 16-17 school year. I'm going to walk through the data template shortly, but first a few tips to help you make the best use of it. When you open the data template, you'll notice there is a tab that says Start Here. Please start here. You'll, at a minimum, be entering your school's name as well as your cohort type, and if you're using the baccalaureate metrics, you'll make that selection as well. There's other selections for race, ethnicity, for drop-down, so that they carry through and you won't have to keep re-entering the same information. Please make sure you enter your school's name because otherwise you will be known hereby as Sample Community College, and we don't want that to happen. The calculations themselves will be done for you. So if you enter numbers in the green boxes, percentages will automatically calculate as long as you have a numerator and a denominator. We've given you definitions on the right-hand side, so you don't have to flip back and forth between documents. The cohort years, as I've cautioned in walking through the different metrics, will change from tab to tab. The whole idea is we don't want to ask for data that may not exist yet or may be still in the process of getting finalized at your institution. So we've tried to give the most reasonable recent cohorts that everybody can report about. There is the Your Choice option. So as I mentioned, when you're looking to disaggregate by different metrics, gender, ethnicity, Pell, you might have a custom group. Like let's say it's foreign-born students. I'm just making something up here. If you enter foreign-born students in your choice, you'll see that it'll populate in the respective area with foreign-born students and not foreign-born students. So it's whatever you enter and then not whatever you enter. I figure this would probably suffice for most of the options. Again, we're asking that it becomes binary because otherwise it gets really complicated for that data template to be consistent. We have humans who are reviewing this, so we want to make sure that it's clear, that when we read, we know exactly what we're looking at. The gray boxes are present for a reason. You'll see there's some dark gray boxes up by the denominators. It's because that's where percentages would go, and denominator divided by itself will always be 100%. So that's why it's saying don't expect to see anything here. You enter in the green, and you will see percentages come up in the white boxes next to your numerators. So at this point, just give us one moment and we will flip to the data template. I'll give you a little bit of a walkthrough so you can see more in detail of what this looks like. All right, so we have the data template here, and hopefully we're not getting any notes to say people can't see this. So we have the data template. So data template, you'll see this is the first page that you come to when you open it up. See, this is where it says Sample Community College, please change it. You are mandatorily required to select your cohort type. You'll see there are drop downs where there should be. So you have all students new to institution, FTEIC only. Let's say I want all students new to the institution. We will go down here and then say race ethnicity. Again, if you're not using race ethnicity, you don't necessarily have to fill this out. You're filling out for what you do use it. That's why it's please select 3 if you're referencing race ethnicity for any metric. The race ethnicity groups, you have options of all of the major groups, including multiracial is an option. And again, you don't necessarily have to select your largest, but don't select tiny groups that have hardly any students in them. The your choice is where you can enter a group. So let's say I want foreign-born students. You'll see that populates elsewhere. And then finally, if you are using the Earn Baccalaureate option, and it gives you the reminder of what it means and what it might yield, there is a drop down for that as well that has all students in cohort or transfer students only. So let's say I'm using it, I want all my students. You'll notice the rest of the tabs are labeled or color coded and labeled with Group A or Group B to remind you what goes with what. So gateway courses, you'll see, oh look, Sample Community College, because that's what I left in here. And cohort type, all students new to institution. It reminds you at the top what you selected. Your cohorts are labeled at the top. You have instructions on the right-hand side. And you'll see, oh look, my optional group, foreign-born, not foreign-born students followed through as well. At the top, you will always have your total students denominators. Refer to your cohort definition of if you're using FTEIC or everybody. And then you will see these rows will repeat for your numerators. So here's Gateway Math only, Gateway English only, Gateway Math and English. Again, fill in what you want to share. You do not need to fill in this entire sheet. There will be a lot of data collection that you don't really need to do. But let's say I have overall, I have 500 students and 600. I'm just going to make up numbers. Look, we're gaining 100 students per term. 800 students is in my overall. And at the bottom here, so that's my denominator. Here's everybody in my cohort. And I'm looking, like right now it shows 0% because we have nothing in our numerators. How many completed? 250, 300, 400, 375. So you'll see here, you have the percentages that show, okay, we had a 50% completion rate, stayed 50, 57, went down to 47, and I've given you the the 1 year change and the 3 year change. You'll see this labeled up top, 1 year and 3 year. And this functions the exact same way for every other row in this spreadsheet. So again, it automatically calculates for you. If you see a percentage that is above 100%, chances are you might have made a typo. You should probably go back and review your data. So that is the basic function of this. All of the rows categories should be clear. Similar, we have fall-to-fall persistence. This is a much shorter tab because you have total students, and then it's just students persisting. We don't have math and English and this, that, and the other. So that's straightforward. Credit attempts, I've noted it's total college credits attempted is the denominators, not number of students. It'll remind you in the definitions at the side, where I said note, number of credits, not number of students, and it follows suit. And then the orange tabs represent the Group B metrics. So we have total students, again, and students earning credential within 4 years. And notice how the cohorts have changed, so just always pay attention at the top to what cohort you're actually following through with. And then the last tab is the Earned Baccalaureate. Here we have an extra line that says denominator type to remind you that you've selected all students in cohort as opposed to transfers only. Cohorts have changed. It's the same function. So that is, so that's how the spreadsheet works. Once you get to entering, you'll find that it's pretty straightforward, and it's designed that when we review your data, we're reviewing it fairly and consistently with everybody else who is entering their data, because it's all following in this tidy spreadsheet. So at this point, I'm going to turn the floor back over to Nikisha, who will close things out.
Great. Thanks, Elaine. All right, so just looking ahead, just briefly want to talk to you guys about how to submit your application material, and then we will open up the opportunity for you guys to ask any questions that you may have immediately of us while we still have time for this section of the webinar. So this year's application material is uploaded and submitted via the link that is provided in the application, which can be found on the ATD website at www.achievingthedream.org. And at the beginning of the webinar, kind of walk you through the steps, and once you access the ATD website, going into the resource tabs and etc. Colleges must upload their application material that includes the data template, their worksheet, and the president or chancellor letter. And once all material is ready, you can then submit it at that time. Leader College of Distinction applications are due on November 30th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please be mindful of that date. We'll be sure to send out a reminder leading up to that date so that if you guys are getting close to being finished, or if you haven't started yet, we'll let you know how many more days you have available to submit your application material for Leader College of Distinction. So now we have about 15 to 20 minutes to answer any questions you may have of us. And we'll ask you to please type them in the chat panel or feature that's in the control panel of the webinar. So we'll give you about a minute or two and see if any questions come your way, and we'll be able to give our attention to those as they come in. Okay, so we have a couple of questions come in, one from Greg Hodge. Can low income be defined as Pell eligible instead of simply Pell recipient? I'll yield the floor to my colleagues, either Leon or Elaine.
Hi, I don't see why not. I would make a note of it in your application itself to say we're going to, I mean, if that's how your school defines low income, I think that's fair. I understand that not everybody necessarily receives who should receive. So we're okay with that. I mean, we just kind of use standard definitions as iPads and those sorts of things. But if you have a particular rationale, you're welcome to share that and to say that's what you use. Just be consistent. That's all we ever ask.
Okay, great. Thank you, Elaine. All right, so Heather Benton, seems like you're having issues with accessing the data template via the link in the application. The template is in a PDF format rather than Excel. One thing that I have experienced is that college aren't taking the next step and hitting the download button on that link. Once you hit the download, then it will automatically convert itself over to a workable Excel spreadsheet. So Heather, what I'll do, if you try doing that again, if you have already, or if you haven't, try that. And if not, shoot me an email at network@achievingthedream.org, and I'll be able to provide you a direct link from there. So try to hit the download button on the link that we put in the application, and that would convert over to an Excel spreadsheet for you. But if that doesn't work, contact me at network@achievingthedream.org, and I'll get you over the template directly. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Kamula Chung, can multiple staff access our application, or is it limited to one person? If they receive the link, or if they go to the website, they can access the application, but you just want to coordinate on one submission. So everyone can access the application per se through the ATD website, but when you're getting ready to submit, one person should be in coordinating that submission. So for example, we pointed out that there's a worksheet to obtain collaborative responses to draft and to put into a final state for the submission in the drop upload link. And as well as you have to submit your data template along with your president's or chancellor's letter. So just make sure that you guys are coordinating for the point of submission, but multiple staff can access the application that's available via the ATD website. And then one other question, will this presentation be available to me? Yes, ma'am. We're in recording mode right now, and look for by the end of the day next Monday, this webinar will be uploaded via the ATD website. So just in the same location of where you access the application, we'll have a link to the webinar. Okay, any other immediate questions? You're welcome, Kamula. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. It will wait about 30 more seconds for those of us who might be slow typers, that you might have a lot in your questions. So we'll afford you some time to get it all out. Oh, okay. All right, there's a couple chat boxes. There is another question, one moment. On the application, this is from Leanne Hartman. On the application, it asks colleges to choose to apply for recertification or Leader College of Distinction. If the college is not chosen as a Leader College of Distinction, would we lose out on the ability to be recertified as a Leader College? So there's two applications that ATD submitted. If you received an invitation to apply for the Lear-Meyer-Austin Award, those colleges automatically were recertified for 3 more years. So this webinar specifically are for that group, and those colleges can submit for Leader College of Distinction certification. The other group of colleges that did not meet eligibility to be extended the invitation for Lear-Meyer-Austin Award, those are in the pool to recertify for our standard process. So that application is out there, and our recertification webinar was conducted about an hour and a half ago, and that will be recorded and put on the website as well. So there's 2 tracks this year. There's the regular standard recertification that those colleges who were not invited for LMA, they can apply for standard recertification, or if you looked at your data to see if you qualify for Leader College of Distinction, then you'll fill out those designated tabs that Elaine just walked through. So I think, Leanne, it is to determine which group you're with. So if you are part of the group that has the option of doing a standard certification or standard recertification or the Leader College of Distinction, you can choose to apply for either. Now, if you apply for Leader College of Distinction and don't make it, we do have the criteria, the data that you'll submit that we can assess if you do still meet our regular recertification. So I think that might get to your question. Let me know if not. So again, you have an option. If you do the Leader College of Distinction, but maybe didn't meet one of the metrics because that's a higher level of requirements, you still will be considered eligible, or we'll still review your data submitted to see if you qualify for regular recertification. So just shoot me a message and see if I answered that correctly for you. So this webinar, we targeted the group who should just have the option of applying for Leader College of Distinction, because if you receive the notice that you received for the invitation to apply for Lear-Meyer-Austin, then you're automatically receiving 3 more additional years of certification as a Leader College. But we wanted to make sure we gave you the opportunity to apply for Leader College of Distinction, the new level of recognition. Any other questions? Okay, system submittal. Thanks, Camila. No, I didn't see your question about system application, but let's look at that one moment. If a system applying is not accredited, but its colleges are, can the system apply? So I'm going to take it that you might be from the Hawaii system. That's a good question. What do you think, colleagues?
I just follow up on that.
Yeah, we're looking for follow-up. That's a very unique case, and I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Camila, if you can email that question specifically so we can respond directly to you at network@achievingthedream.org, then we'll do some research and get that clarification and respond back to you. Okay, so let's see if I've missed any other questions. Okay, yes, Margaret. Elaine, I'm looking right at you for this one. What is the exact cohort definition? FTIC only or FTIC iPad?
So, if I'm recalling correctly, FTIC, well, all right, well, of course I'm going to defer to the definition that I've written. iPad does include, I believe, unless I apologize on the speaking because there's so many definitions. iPads FTIC, I believe, will include students who might have dual enrollment credit. We go more with the CCRC definition, which is first time ever in college means you're coming in with no credits, which is not the iPad's definition, at least the last time that I checked iPads. So the big difference is that these students will have no credits coming in. So you may want to, if you're looking to include those students, you may want to go to be just new to your school. If you feel very strongly that, let's say, you really, really don't want to include transfer students, but you have a large population of, say, your school has a ton of dual enrollment kids or forward dual enrollment kids that stay on board, I would perhaps select the I'm using all students and then make a note in your application that because my school has a unique situation because we have a ton of these students, we're using our own. Again, my whole mantra is just be consistent whatever you're doing. So whoever you're selecting, make sure that's the same. But if you feel like you have a bit of a special case, we're not going to say you didn't do your data correctly or anything like that. We do allow these small tweaks when it's applicable. So hopefully that's answered the question. And again, email us or drop us a line if you need further clarification.
Great, thanks, Elaine. Okay, we have about 5 more minutes for any questions you may have for us at this time. Okay. You're most certainly welcome, Margaret, for the response. Okay, just checking to see if we've omitted any ones that have been submitted. And at this time, I don't see any new ones. Okay. So again, I want to thank, or on behalf of our panel for today's webinar on Leader College of Distinction Certification, I want to thank you for your time and for your questions. A reminder that this webinar is being recorded and we will upload it to the ATD website and make it available no later than next Monday, October 22nd. In the meantime, if you have any further questions or throughout your time of filling out the application, please contact us at network@achievingthedream.org or call us at 240-450-0075. Thank you so much, as this concludes our webinar for today. Have an excellent day. Leon waves goodbye. All the best.